Greetings, brothers. If you didn't watch last week's tactics video where I went over every single model that's coming for Leviathan and sort of gave them a rating out of 10 for Blood Angels, then this week is a little bit more interesting. We now have all the data sheets. They've all been shared this week. It seems like Games Workshop are gradually rolling out information about 10th edition over time, which is great for me. I'll make plenty of content on it. So let's get right into the data sheets. So welcome, and I am John, the Blood Angels Commander, and if you want to see Blood Angels content that will help you be a better player on YouTube every week, then please consider subscribing. So the Terminator Captain, notable things is he's on toughness 5, and the combi weapon has completely changed. We're going to see this on a few data sheets today. Combi weapons are now basically rapid fire 1, so 2 shots if we're at half range. Infantry, anti-infantry, so we're always going to wound infantry in a 4-up. Otherwise it's just tough. Just strength 4, which is kind of lacking for a combi weapon, but it does have devastating wounds, so anytime we roll a 6 on the wound roll, we're going to do some mortals. So in some ways, combi weapons to me look a lot like Volkite pistols. I'm not sure I feel like there's a big nerf to combi weapons, but I guess what we'll see. Or you can take the Stormbolter. There's 2 cool abilities that the Terminator Captain has, and the first one is Rites of Battle. Once per battle round, 1 unit from your army with this ability can be targeted by a stratagem for 0 CP, even if another unit from your army has already been targeted by that stratagem this phase. So what that's going to mean is key stratagems, like potentially, like counter-offensive, could be used for 0 CP by including a Terminator Captain. And I mean, we don't know all the Space Marine stratagems yet, but this seems like it could be very strong. This could be a reason to run multiple captains. I don't know if you can't do that or how exactly that's going to work, but just reading it, Rosa's written there, that seems very strong. And then basically, if this model attaches to a unit, and you would obviously attach this guy to a unit, probably attach him to a unit of Terminators, then potentially you're going to reroll your charges, which is also pretty cool. If he takes the Relic Shield, he'll go up to wounds characteristic of 7. He can have a grenade launcher, potentially as well. And we know that Terminator Captain has a 4-up invulnerable save and a standard 2-up save. I think all the weapon options here are basically what they were before. So you can take a Chain Fist, a Power Fist, a Relic Weapon, which is basically a Relic Blade, only slightly different, I guess. The Thunder Hammer, which is devastating wounds, but obviously has the Thunder Hammer worsens your ballistic skill. I suppose the same as the Chain Fist worsens your weapon skill. Sorry, I think I said ballistic skill there, I meant weapon skill. And then Twin Link Lightning Claws, you get 1 extra attack for having the Twin Link Lightning Claw. When you compare like the Relic Weapon, which is strength 5 minus 2 damage with 6 attacks, against the Twin Link Lightning Claw, which is 1 more attack but 1 less damage for every single attack. Yes, they're twin linked, which means you can reroll wounds. I really feel like I think Lightning Claws have taken a pretty heavy hit here. I don't know if you can still mastercraft a weapon, and you could mastercraft one of these Lightning Claws. I don't know. So my thought is right now is Lightning Claws look a lot weaker. Chain Fists are obviously looking strong against vehicles, but I feel like it might just be better to take a Thunder Hammer if you're going to have it be the same weapon skill, because anytime you roll a 6, then that'll convert your 2 damage straight into 2 mortals. Combi weapon seems weird. I think the big takeaway for me is you're going to be able to reroll charges in your Terminators, which is cool because Terminators are going to want a deep strike, probably. And they've got toughness 5. The weapon options, they have said that they're toning down lethality of the game, and everything here looks a bit less lethal, so I guess, I mean, that makes sense, I suppose. There is a typo on the Terminator Captain cheat at the moment. You can replace the Stormbolter with one of the following: the Combi Weapon, the Power Fist, the Shield, a Relic Weapon, or Thunder Hammer, and then you can also replace his Relic Weapon with a Chain Fist, a Power Fist, a Relic Shield, or a Thunder Hammer. There's a star here saying that you cannot have 2 Relic Shields, but there's no star here saying you cannot have 2 Thunder Hammers. So if you want a Terminator Captain, with 2 Thunder Hammers, you could do that. I don't think it's going to give you any bonus, but you could do that. I think someone got confused somewhere. Obviously, you're going to replace the Stormbolter and the Relic Weapon with Twin Link Lightning Claws. And if you've got the Power Fist, you can have an Auxiliary Grenade Launcher. I guess we'll have to see what the rules for the Auxiliary Grenade Launcher. I imagine it just increases the range on grenades. And grenades are now stratagem, 1 CP, and it's like you roll 6d6, if I remember correctly, and every 4-up is a mortal wound. So he can attach to Relic Terminators, Terminator Assault Squads, or Terminator Squads. And he can basically be built both ways. So obviously, I mean, this data sheet, although it's for the Leviathan box set, this is like a catch-all for a Captain in Terminator armor. I feel like if I was going to build one, I feel like I'm still on board with the Thunderhammer as the best option. The Relic Blade might be okay. I guess if you want more attacks with more reliability, i.e. Weapon Skill 2, the Relic Blade is probably going to be... Relic Blade's going to be very good at killing infantry, I guess. Especially because Blood Angel is now going to get +1 attack and +1 strength on the charge. The Power Fist is actually not bad at killing infantry in that you get 5 attacks hitting on 2s. Some people are talking about Power Fists no longer taking -1 to hit is actually really interesting. And another thing that we're talking about this week in Discord is that, like, all the weapons now have a base strength. It's no more like ×2 strength. Like, the Terminator up here doesn't really have a strength characteristic. So anytime you get +1 strength, you don't have to worry about do you multiply or divide first and add the strength after. Blood Angel's charging, you would just be like, Relic Weapon, +1 attacks, +1 strength. So 7 attacks on the charge at strength 6. Nice and simple. Okay. If there's any questions about any of these models, please put them down in the video description. And I'll answer as many questions as I can. I tend to answer every question or comment that I get on this channel. Sometimes it takes me a little while, I get 2 kids, but I do work my way through it. Last week when I was rating the Terminator Captain, I kind of felt that the loadout that you get in the box, which I guess would be Storm Shield and the Relic Blade, isn't going to be the best loadout, and potentially that is, so maybe you need to do some sort of conversion here, or maybe you just want to build this guy. But just be wary that it might be better. I think the build I'm leaning towards is probably the good old, well, I guess it's a Relic Shield. So giving them the shield to get extra wound. I always think it's important if your character can survive an extra turn or something. Sometimes that wound can be important. Give them the extra wound and then give them, I guess, your choice of melee weapon. Let's jump into the Librarian and Terminator armor. Right, so his Psychic Hood is going to give models that he's attached to in the unit a 4-up, feel no pain against psychic attacks, and while he's leading a unit, the models in your unit have sustained hits 1, which means basically every time they roll a 6 to hit, they're going to burst an additional hit. So again, he's got this combi weapon, but this model here doesn't actually have the combi weapon. He's just got the Stormbolter, the one in the box. The toughness 5 is nice, and the 5 wounds is nice on the Librarian. He's got 2 basically smites, regular smite and like the more powerful smite. Both of them are D6 attacks, D3 damage. It doesn't seem too bad. I think I'd probably always be smiting rather than shooting my Stormbolter. I'm not sure we know yet if we can do both. I guess we'll find out soon. And his, I guess, all the force weapons, force axes, force swords, 4 staves are kind of rolled together into just strength 6, -1, D3, and he's going to get 4 attacks and weapon skill 3 up. What's interesting though is, like, well, this guy used to have a 5-up invuln, he now has a 4-up invuln. So this guy's quite a bit tougher. Extra toughness, extra on the save. Obviously he still has the 2-up armor save. He can join the same 3 squads as the Terminator in the Captain Terminator. So I guess looking at these 2 units, then I think you want the Captain Terminator to join like an Assault Terminator Squad, like lots of Lightning Claws or lots of Thunderhammers, or a mix of both, I guess. And then I think you would maybe want the Librarian to join like a Terminator Squad with bolt guns, because lots of bolters exploding 6s could be pretty nice. You still get a decent amount of attacks with a Terminator Squad. We're probably going to come to them here in a second. And then I suppose this Librarian could join like a close combat Terminator Squad. I guess if you had a lot of Lightning Claw models, then potentially that could be strong as well. So both these guys are reasonably decent, I think. I would probably be starting both these guys in Deep Strike. I think they could do some work for Blood Angels. And like I said, if you didn't watch last week's video, I've got some other points that I made. But the data sheets pretty self-explanatory. I think both of these characters could be useful. I think we're going to see a lot of limitations on squad joining, though. I think basically what this is going to mean, like, I thought maybe these Terminators could be able to join Gravis models, because obviously they move at the same speed as Gravis models, move 5 inches, but it doesn't look like there's going to be any crossover between, like, Terminators and Gravis in terms of joining squads. Alright, your Infernus Squad. And one thing to note on these squads, I guess, is there is no combat squads anymore. So I think combat squads is gone. If we click on the second sheet, you can see that you can have 1 sergeant and 4 to 9 marines. So you wouldn't be able to take like 30 of these guys and then combat squad them into 6 groups of 5. If you wanted to take them in squads of 5, you'd be stuck taking 3 squads of 5 and that would be it. So Infernus squads basically have pyroblasters, which is a strength 5 flamer with no AP. So you get like 5 guys with that in the 5-man squad. They also have basically like default close combat options. They have a bolt pistol, I guess, because you can still shoot bolt pistols when you're in combat. In your shooting phase, if this unit shot, you can choose an infantry that was hit by 1 or more of the attacks, and the enemy must take a battle shot test. People are getting excited about this. Remember, battle shock tests are going to be taken all the time. Like, literally all the time after a unit gets down to half strength. So, is this going to be huge? I guess I don't know. But my other thought about this is, remember when you fail a battle shot test, you can pay 1 CP after you failed to pass it. So you can't even use this crazy tactically, like, I'm going to flame the guys on your objective, so it's now my objective. They go, no, it's not. I'm just paying 1 CP and it's still my objective. So, I know people are excited about this. I don't. Last week I said this was probably the worst unit in the box for me. I don't think the data sheet changes my mind. There's not much to say. I think they're a pretty vanilla unit. I hate D6 shots. This can swing from what, like 5 shots to 30 shots. I hate weapons like that. Anything that all this sort of stuff should have been normalized. I've been saying for a while that stuff should be normalized. And this is a bit annoying. When we actually see like Redemptor Dreadnoughts, if they still have D6 shots on the plasma cannons, I'm going to die a little bit inside, because it just takes like a really usable unit and just makes it unusable for me, especially in tournament play. Because tournament play, you feel like you want to rely on your units, you need to know what they need to be able to do, and if you've got something that can swing from literally 5 shots to 30 shots, that's way too swingy to consider for me to take in tournament. So yeah, okay, next. Alright, next on the list is the Sternguard, and I struggle with this squad. They're not as good as Firstborn Sternguard, and I think that's the thing that has me disappointed. The reason they're not as good as Firstborn is combi weapons are kind of all over the place. We've talked about them already in this video and said that I don't see how combi weapons are going to be strong. I think the old combi weapons were very cool. Lots of flexibility, lots of differentiation. Now they really feel like those Volcon pistols. And my experience running those Volcon pistols is once per game they do like 1 mortal wound and 1 person fails a save. So squads of combi weapons, Sternguard, which I just recently built, are not going to be strong. In this box, I guess, you're getting like a couple with combi weapons, a couple with bolt rifles. The bolt rifles actually kind of look maybe stronger than the combi weapons, to be brutally honest. They're assault, they're devastating wounds, they're heavy, they're rapid fire 1, and they get 2 shots. So if you stand still, you hit on 2s, and basically you can also advance and shoot them, which you can't do with combi weapons. Yeah, I mean, to me the Sternguard bolt rifles seem better. Maybe someone in the comments going to rip me to shred and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. By all means. The combi weapons also only hit on 4s. Did I miss that on the Captain? Surely his combi weapons still hit on 2s, does it? Oh no, the combi weapons actually have worse ballistic. They have worse ballistic skill as well. Okay, yeah, so the combi weapons are, they're kind of garbage. It looks like it. I mean, you've got anti-infantry 4 up, but if you imagine the worst infantry The worst you're ever going to be rolling to wound an infantry is probably 5. So, but most of the time it'll be less than, it'll be 4, or it'll be a 3. So yeah, to me the combi weapons look like hot garbage, which is kind of sad. You can have a heavy bolter, which is fine, I guess. Strength 5, -1, 2 damage, so heavy bolter hasn't really changed, 3 attacks. You've got your close combat here, but there's no mention of the sergeant getting a close combat weapon anymore. I said when I saw the squad, I thought it was a bit weird that the sergeant had the bolt pistol. It's weird they called it the Sternguard bolt pistol, because it's literally the same as all the other bolt pistols, but... Oh! Their bolt pistol has devastating wounds. Okay. I don't... That's random. Okay, so I guess if you ever get in combat, then you've lost your potential like power fist on the sergeant. You've got devastating wounds on your pistols. That's probably a reasonable trade-off because it's just one sergeant, but to me it feels a little bit naff because I like giving my sergeant like a close combat weapon, especially when we're a close combat chapter. Once per battle in your shooting phase, after this unit is shot, if one or more enemy units was destroyed as a result of these attacks, this unit can shoot again. So maybe once per game, if you really tactically shoot and make sure you do the killing blow to an enemy unit, with the Sternguard, you might be able to shoot again. I mean, that's cool. That's nice. Again, it's 5 to 10. Everybody's equipped with a bolt pistol, the bolt rifle, the close combat weapon. Any number can replace their bolt rifle with combi weapons. Why would you want to now? I'm unsure. Because like I said, the bolt rifles, you stand still, you get +1 to hit, and you can also advance and shoot. And you've got a better weapon skill as well. Ballistic skill. Sorry, I'm gonna say ballistic skill and weapon skill so many times incorrectly. Please cut me some leeway. For every 5 models, you can take 1 heavy bolter. So no more grav cannons, multi-meltas, heavy flamers. Maybe they couldn't take grav cannons before. I know they could definitely take heavy flamers and definitely take multi-meltas. So that's a little bit sad. Standard keywords here, nothing out of the ordinary. Was there any keywords on the captain that were out of the ordinary? No. Nothing there, okay. So Sternguard, to me, Primaris Sternguard, or I think they're discontinuing the Firstborn and we're just going to have regular Sternguard. Or Primaris Sternguard, or just called Sternguard. They seem objectively worse. They don't see great for Blood Angels. It does seem like there's a lot of stuff in these boxes that is... Like, Marines are very based on shooting, but we don't even do the shooting that well, it seems like. Alright, let's go into the Ballistus Dreadnought. We saw this profile before. If like, the Redemptor Dreadnought copies this profile, then I guess wounds 12, 2-up save, with lethal lethality across the board, on toughness 10. I think he's pretty durable. OC4 as well, which is nice. If he explodes, it's D3. If you make an attack against an enemy that is not below half strength, you can reroll your hits. So if you shoot like full health targets or targets with more than half their wound remaining, you can reroll your hits. It's a lot of swingy damage here. It's a ton of swingy damage, really. 2 shots from the crack missile, D6 damage. 2 shots from the las cannon, D6 +1 damage. Storm bolter or 2, and then the armored feet. I guess the armored feet, when you charge for Blood Angels, will be 6 attack, strength 8. I mean, I guess that sounds like quite a lot, actually. So I guess the Dreadnoughts potentially will be really good for Blood Angels with extra strength and the extra attacks. This guy's damage is all over the place. D6 damage is so unreliable. It's so frustrating to take to tournaments and stuff like that. D3 +3 is infinitely better. Throughout 9th edition, like every other chapter, like, you know, Admech had D3 +3 las cannons, Drukhari had D3 +3 dark lances, Imperial Guard had, like, what was it called, heavy las cannons, D6 +2 or something. So it's like everybody else has better las cannons and missiles than Marines. I hope that theirs maybe get tuned down, because I hate these. D6 damage, like, honestly, never spend your command points on re-rolling. Like, every time I spend command points on a re-roll of a dice. It's like the lowest value way of spending your command points. You never want to have to do it, but you always feel like when you roll a 1 on a d6 and that's your damage, you need to do it because it's taken so many steps to actually get a last cannon through. That's why I run Redemptor Dreadnoughts with flat 3 damage plasma, or that's why I've run Volcon Dreadnoughts with flat 2 damage. In some ways, flat 2 damage is probably better than last cannons. Eliminators, if they still have the twin what is it? The las fusel with the -3 damage. It might be good to put eliminators inside a transport or something that's got that firing deck. Who knows? There's no weapon options, none whatsoever for this guy. The one thing I hate about the chassis as well is like the chassis doesn't have, or like the chassis that the Redemptor, the Brutalis, the Ballistus chassis doesn't have smokescreen. It's really disappointing. And obviously the dreadnoughts that could get smokescreen, Leviathan, are gone. Isn't that just frustrating? Okay, I think everybody's seen the Terminator Squad by now. They have a variant of the Teleport Homer. In this box, you're getting no Cyclone Missile and no Heavy Flamer, but you can take them. I think the Cyclone Missile launcher is potentially a little bit better than it was before, just because it's strength 9 now. But I mean, armor is obviously adjusted up a bit. Chain Fists are better, I think, than they were before, just because they will be a very anti-vehicle weapon. Like, I guess, always wounding vehicles on 3 up, whereas like Power Fists might struggle. You know, they might be wounding on vehicles on 5s with Power Fists, might be wounding vehicles on 6s with power weapons, even with a +1 to strength, so it would be strength 6 with a power weapon. That might still be a 6 to wound, like a Land Raider or something. That's crazy. Each time this model makes an attack, you can ignore any or all modifiers to the ballistic or weapon skill, so you can never make Terminators like -1 to hit. In addition, each time this model makes an attack that targets an enemy unit that you selected for the Oath of Moment, you add 1 to the hit roll. So if you picked... Terminators get a double buff. So if you picked an enemy to attack with your Oath of Moment, which means full hits and wounds rerolls, then these guys get to add 1 to their hit roll as well. So like, you know, your Chain Fists would be hitting on 3s, rerolling everything. Auto-wounding vehicles on 3s, rerolling everything. So 3s rerolling is going to be very good in anti-vehicles. Terminators with Chain Fists might be the best option that we have for taking out vehicles. I was going to say maybe like an Ironclad Dreadnought or Death Company Dreadnought or Brutalis Dreadnought might be really useful as well to take out vehicles. Also, these guys can use their Teleport Homer to basically use the Rapid Ingress stratagem, which lets them set up in the opponent's turn from Deep Strike, but they have to position themselves sort of near the Teleport Homer. If you do once per battle, you can target the unit with Rapid Ingress. You must set this up within 3 inches of the token, and then you can basically Deep Strike in the opponent's turn for no CP. So it's all going to be about placing your Teleport Homer smartly. Every Terminator has a Stormbolter and Power Fist, except the Sergeant, who has a Stormbolter and Power Weapon. Unfortunately, I don't think the Sergeant can change his weapon. However, for every 5 models, you can add 1 Assault Cannon, 1 Cyclone Missile Launcher, so you can add 2 Cyclone Missile Launchers now if you have a 10-man squad. We couldn't do that before. You could add 2 Assault Cannons. I don't think you could do that before. Any number of models can have their Power Fist replaced with a Chain Fist. So yeah, my thought would be replace all 4 Power Fists with Chain Fists, or at least 50% of the squad if you've got the models. Okay, the Lieutenant with combi-weapon. Now this is a confusing character, really confusing character, and in some ways I really dislike him. So let's get into another character that I don't like in this Indominus box. Jeez. So we start off with the combi-weapon. We've talked at length about these. Then we've got paired combat blades, which is basically knives, right? However, his knives have no AP, so I guess maybe that means Incursor's knives will now have no AP. If so, then I'm a little bit sad about that. But paired combat blades are no AP, strength 4, 5 attacks. He gets sustained hits, so I guess 6s are going to burst an additional hit. What great use that will be on strength 4, no AP. And then against Tyranids, he will always wound on 4s. Interesting. A character like this, like having like anti-Tyranids 4-up, like you'll be paying points on this model for this, and it's only going to work against 1 out of 20 armies. So I don't think I'm not in love with this at all. Really, I'm in love with this. He has a 5-up Feeling of Pain. He can, I guess, maybe forward deploy because he's an infiltrator. He's got lone operatives, and he's got stealth, which means he can't be shot when he's, like, unless he's close to the enemy. At the start of the first battle round, if your army contains 1 or more models with this ability, you can select 1 objective marker on the battlefield to be the priority objective. Until the end of the battle, when a friendly Adeptus Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time the model in the attack makes an attack against the targets of an enemy unit that is engaged with the priority target, reroll wounds of 1. So he has an aura. Like, he still has that sort of, like, Lieutenant reroll 1 wounds aura. But only if the enemy is within range of their priority target. So that's super situational. I'd say, like, that's gonna work 1 in 10 battles at best, because you're telling me before the battle, before you've deployed, you're gonna be able to say this 1 lieutenant plus this 1 unit is gonna be going for this 1 objective. You're never gonna have to react. You're never gonna have to change your plans. Like, lots of battles start with you having, you know, you do your first, you deploy, the opponent deploys, they do something, then instantly you're into reactive mode, right? If you had a plan, hey, we were going to take this priority target, and now they're sitting friggin' 15 Blightlord Terminators on top of it, you're like, well, I'm not even going near that objective now. So this seems way situational, so I don't like this either. Once per battle, when an enemy unit ends a normal advance move within 9 inches of this model, if this unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemies, it can make a normal move. Okay, so this is interesting. So when the enemy moves close, you can move away. But from looking at it, this model cannot be your warlord, and he also can't join anybody. Like, everybody else that could join squads, you know, is a leader, this model can join. Whereas this lieutenant, for whatever reason, I don't understand why, because I'm pretty sure some of the other lieutenants I would expect to join squads, but this guy, maybe it's because he's this, like, tyrannic war veteran. He can't join anybody. And he can't change his war gear. So this lieutenant's, like, called out specifically. Like, he is a lieutenant with a combi weapon, similar to how we had, like, a captain with a heavy bolt rifle. Like, so he's a bit of a different, unique character doing his own thing. However, I just don't think that his own thing's going to be that good with, like, a combi weapon that it's on 3s and no AP strength for no AP 1 damage. Like, I can't see how I would use this guy at all. I can't see how any Marine would use this guy. Maybe if you have a giant tank army and you're going for a specific objective, you want to reroll a bunch of 1s because I guess the need for core is gone. But this guy confuses me. I definitely don't like the anti-Tyranid stuff. Before like last week, I thought this guy was going to be cool. I thought he was going to be able to join squads. I thought he was going to give the squads buffs. I expected his pair combat blades to maybe be 1 AP. I expected him to do something more. I don't know. He's like a lone wolf, or they've called him a last survivor. Weird character. Let me know what your thoughts on this guy in the video description, please. We need to talk about all this. All right, and then we get on to the Apothecary, and the Apothecary is he's the one that I found the most mad. I guess the cool thing is, we probably should say that this character also has smokescreen, and he has Phobos. So I guess we'll just need to keep it. I mean, you can probably smokescreen. I don't know what stratagems Phobos will relate to now. So Apothecary Biologis. I guess we can confirm now that Gravis is toughness 6. The disappointing thing for me is that there is no invulnerable save on this guy. And I would have thought that if Gravis is stronger armor than Terminators, I don't understand why it doesn't at least have a 6-up invuln. Like, a 6-up invuln wouldn't break anything. It would just mean when you're hit with, like, inevitably power creep's going to happen. You're going to end up fighting an army that has their whole army probably at -4. And then you're just going to get back to the situation where, like, oh, Marines don't get saves anymore. And, yeah, I mean, that's it's not that fun, honestly, just lifting off your models and never getting to roll a saving throw. It was one of the reasons I sort of stopped running Redemptor Dreadnoughts, is like far too often you just never get to roll saving throws on Redemptor Dreadnoughts. So it's cool this guy's got more toughness. It'll help. He's got OC3, which is interesting because most of the other characters we look at are OC1. So by adding the Apothecary, the Biologis, he's OC3. While he's leading unit, models have lethal hits. Lethal hits means that basically 6 on the hit roll become auto wounds. So that would be pretty useful for something like with Weight of Fire, which could be aggressors. We'll just skip forward real quick and see that he can join aggressors, eradicators, and heavy intercessors. So we've got that. If this model's unit destroys an enemy as the result of a melee attack, until the end of the battle, this model has an objective characteristic of 9, objective control of 9. So for me, you have to pair this guy with aggressors. If the aggressors and him will kill something in melee combat, this guy jumps to OC9. That's crazy. And he will benefit the aggressors, I guess, because like aggressors get Weight of Fire. Like with the bolter and the grenade guys, on average, I think each aggressor gets like 9 shots. So you'll get 9 shots. 6s will auto wound. One of the weaknesses of the aggressors was that they're strength 4, but I guess if you're auto wounding, then that'll, with a bunch of the 6s, that'll help a lot. Here's an Absolver bolt pistol. That's fine. I mean, Absorber bolt pistols, they're fine. Slightly better bolt pistol. And he has a close combat weapon, and I asked last week if the little chainsword he's got on his back would help. Apparently not. He has no AP. So he doesn't get to use the little chainsword that he's got on his backpack. You can join Eradicators, which auto-wounding Meltas would be good. He can join Heavy Intercessors. Auto-wounding Rifles would probably be good as well. And it does say you can attach this model to the above units even if one captain or chapter master has already been attached to it. So it means that a captain, I imagine it probably has to be the Gravis captain. So a Gravis captain or chapter master can potentially be attached to an aggressor squad to, I imagine the captain would be the same stuff here. So basically you can use an extra strat on them. You can reroll charges. So aggressors with reroll charges, and then 6s both in melee and ranged, becoming auto wounds. Again, auto wounds would be good with the double power fists of the aggressors. So maybe like 6 aggressors plus this guy could be back, and that would also give you a boatload of OC, because if you do kill something, then the guy plus the squad would be in like an OC value of 15 from just them. Attach a character to be OC 16 or something. So there's some interesting stuff here, and it seems like a lot overall has changed. Lethality definitely does seem to be down. I'm not in love with the Sternguard, the Infernus Squad. The Ballistus Dreadnought will probably give it some play, but I hate D6 damage. And then Lieutenant with combi-weapon, I don't think I see a use for him. So, I think Terminators and Aggressors are the things that come out for me looking like the most exciting. And I'm a little bit confused by that OC9 guy, but I think like that could have some big implications in terms of holding objectives late in the game. If you need to hold the middle or something and you've killed a unit, he can just daunder into the middle. OC9, that could be pretty darn useful. So thanks so much for watching to the end of the video, brothers. I appreciate it, I really do. Leviathan is coming out for pre-order tomorrow. So if you are interested in getting it, I think you're going to have to act reasonably fast. We do know that the last couple of pre-orders have been very difficult to get your hands on. So I'm going to be ordering from Element Games. I'm going to put a link in the video description to Element Games. So if you're here in the UK, you can grab it there. You can also use the discount code that I'm putting in there to get double crystals. So consider doing that. However, who knows when this is actually going to ship. But I think the takeaway for me is if you want this box set, you need to be ready early, because the last couple of box sets have been grabbed up so darn quickly. Thanks ever so much for watching to the end of the video. I will catch you very soon for some more tactics videos. And just please remember that our painting competition live stream is this Sunday night. We're going to be choosing the winners, and 2 people are going to walk away with a $50 Games Workshop voucher. I'll hopefully catch some of you guys then. Until next time, brothers, by the blood are we made strong. Peace.